is Codename When Pigs Fly. Attached to this codename, I'm just seeing a lot of water. I don't know if this is the ocean, a big river, or a big lake, but I just see a lot of water. It has waves, energy to it. Makes me think it's maybe the ocean or a river, but a very large lake could do that too. Just deducing a boat somehow. I don't know if it's related to the water or if I'm just picking up on a boat. I feel metal. This could be part of the boat. I'm seeing a public park, paved pathways, street light type lights along the path. Looks well cared for. Lots of deciduous trees. It could be along the river or water that I'm seeing. I do see a little bridge, so I'm thinking maybe a river. Now I feel cold, almost like I'm pushed up against the concrete. It's cold. I feel like I've got scrapes on my knees. Maybe I fell down. Maybe I was pushed down. Rocks are kind of poking into me, into my legs. My face is up against the concrete. Going back and forth through time, this area feels like it's been populated for quite a while. I see times when there was Victorian dress here. I still see modern times people there in this current time. Seems like maybe there was a time when it was sparsely populated and people would cut down a lot of the trees to make buildings and things. But by the Victorian imagery, I see more people around, some shops, carts with horses. I feel like a lot of money is involved in this place, either changing hands. Maybe there's a lot of commerce. That's all I'm getting for the target name When Pigs Fly. Adding in coordinates, 60.387940 degrees north, 5.383704 degrees east. It feels like right now when I'm putting myself in this place, it feels dark, night. I'm running. I feel like I've been running for a long time, like my lungs kind of hurt. For some reason, I can smell like a pizza restaurant or an Italian restaurant because my lungs hurt and I've been running and I don't feel well from the smell. It just sticks in my mind. I feel like people lash out at each other here, possibly even some gang violence here. Like mob style almost, or street gangs that are rivals. That's all I'm getting for the coordinates. Adding in the location, I have Isdalen, Bergen, Norway. I'm seeing like a field with tall grasses. The land is fairly flat. There's a little bit of hills in the far distance, but it looks kind of prairie-like. It's daytime. The ground is kind of pebbly or rocky underneath all this grass. It's not soft to walk on. It's a cloudy, overcast day, slightly overcast. There are things buried in this field. It's like a shallow grave type situation, but it's more like the objects, not the actual body of something. It's more like associated objects to this event, small tools or some kind of evidence. I feel really far from anything. It doesn't seem like there's even a road nearby, and it's very lightly traveled if there is a road. You kind of have to just know where this place is. I do see now that there's a stand of trees or a small forest at the edge of this big field here. It feels cold and dark under these trees. Kind of creepy in here. The terrain has a little bit more elevation change. Some areas where there's kind of like craggy, stony areas that are higher than the walking area. There's no water in here. It's just kind of dry forest. There's a really little town nearby. I can just see like a little church tower a few cars, a few stores. It feels very sleepy and small. Yeah, it seems like a kind of a chilly day that I'm on. I can't hear really any sounds other than nature sounds, birds, distant animal noises. It's relatively still, it's not windy. Moving on to a date, died on November 29th, 1970. So I feel a little bit like I'm running. Something in the trees, I feel like I've got scratches on me, like the branches have scratched my face, my arms. I'm afraid the other person is in pursuit of me. I don't quite know how I died. I feel like maybe I got away. I ran a little bit. I don't seem to have run very far. It's not like it was a big chase scene. Maybe I just fell down, but the person associated with my death didn't really have to do much to get me. So maybe I was drugged, or maybe I just was at a dead end or something. But I don't seem to have had a lot of lead up to the point where I died after I was seen getting scratched. I feel like it's kind of an impact to my chest, maybe my head a little bit, but let's see. Yeah, it's something to do with my chest. Either I've been really impacted there, maybe I was stabbed there, something hit me or damaged me there. I feel like that's the main point of impact on the body. There's something to do with this buried objects or evidence or something. I keep getting pulled back to that out in that field. These objects somehow have the answer, or they have DNA or a missing clue that even looks like they're still there now. They're just decayed, but it's the kind of the missing piece. It looks like they're in this shallow dirt area out in the middle of this place. It looks like this person was somewhat comfortable with the people around them before they died. The person or people before they died, they don't seem distressed, and then suddenly they're surprised that things have changed rapidly. So that's what I'm getting from the date. Okay, so getting a name. She was unidentified but called the Isdalen Woman. I feel like this person might have been a hitchhiker, or she was somehow just traveling and was pushed into hitchhiking, or having to associate her with people she didn't really know to get around. I think she was in a pub or drinking. She feels like she was having kind of a okay time, a good time maybe even. She felt relaxed. She's talking to people, and then she kind of goes off with a smaller group, or maybe just one of them. She still feels kind of safe or comfortable. She doesn't feel concerned. And then somehow she's in this position where she's realizing the person is after her for a bad reason, and then she's gone. So let's see what else we can get about the Isdalen Woman. I kind of feel like I have no home base when I put myself in her shoes. Maybe I don't have a family, or I'm really estranged from my family. I don't feel any thoughts of family before I'm passing. I think she didn't really have a place where she was from or living. Very nomadic. So in 1970, a man found hiking in foothills of an area in Norway discovered this burned woman's body. And among her things were a bottle of sleeping pills. And she had ingested a significant number of these sleeping pills. It seems that she died from phenobarbital and poisoning by carbon monoxide. She had soot in her lungs, so she was alive when she was being burned, unfortunately. The mystery is that she was traveling around Norway and other places for quite some time, wearing different wigs, different outfits, trying to disguise her identity, saying that she was a traveling salesman and antiquities dealer, using different names, sometimes writing in German or French, and she was never identified. The suspicion is that she was murdered, even though the death was assumed suicide. Based on the reading that I have here, it does not seem that she did this to herself, and the sleeping pills may be that substance I felt like she had where she was not sober. And maybe how the person kind of lured her away. One resident says that he saw her hiking in the area about a week before with a couple men that looked different, and she seemed uneasy but didn't say anything to her. It's interesting how she was showing me her chest during this, that the chest is where the impact came from. And so I'm wondering if the type of medication that she took was making her feel suffocated or maybe made her have pain in that part of her body. Smoke definitely would cause some chest pain, other lung impacts as well. But she does seem like she felt somewhat comfortable, at least not afraid of the person that she was with that did this to her. And then they turned out to have other intentions for her that she did not anticipate. So she shouldn't have gone with this person. Let's see if I can get some information about who she was. She does seem to be some kind of salesperson, but it looks like whatever she's selling is very under the table. It's very illegal. It somehow is hidden behind what appears to be the real deal she's doing. So, for example, maybe she's selling an antique dresser, but really something about the deal is obscured by this piece of furniture. It's almost like she's selling information or secrets. Yeah, the people she's dealing with are often very dangerous. She isn't really the mastermind behind that, but she definitely is the one mainly doing the interactions. Doesn't seem like she always knows exactly what she's selling. She's sometimes selling like a code name or something like that, where she says, I don't know what this thing was, I just know that this was part of the deal. There's speculation that she was selling her body. There seems to be sometimes that was involved, but it doesn't seem to be the main thing that was going on. It's almost more like that was maybe sometimes an after the fact, a thrown in bonus for the people involved in the deal under some level of duress, but she also kind of knew that was part of the situation sometimes if she wanted to stay alive. And she does not seem to have any living family. She's showing me her grandmother. She cares about her grandmother, but her grandmother doesn't seem to be alive, so perhaps she lived with her growing up, and then when the grandmother died, this is where she kind of fell into. When I'm asking her about her home, she does show me things that look more like French food than German food, so they're speculating she grew up in France, even though she was maybe born in Germany. So she definitely spent a lot of time and considered that her home when she was small. But yeah, this woman does not seem to have a suicidal part in this situation. It was definitely not something she was doing on her own, and she didn't think it would happen to her so soon. She knew that somehow this work would eventually get her, but she didn't really feel in danger until the very last, when she realized, oh, this was a big mistake. They're guessing as to her age. I feel like she's in her late 20s at the youngest. She's feeling more like she's in her 30s. And that's all I'm getting for this target when pigs fly.